I am super excited because I have somebody who, and this will be the only time that I ever speak this positively about him in front of his face. I normally only do it behind his back. But this man here has been a mentor of mine, started as a mentor of mine, still is a mentor of mine, became a friend, and has absolutely become a brother through the process of his mentorship. He runs one of the most successful businesses, real estate companies in Washington, and you're in Everett, correct?
Yeah, just north of Seattle, about 45 minutes north in a city called Everett is our hub.
I'm eventually going to have to come visit you. But anyway, runs one of the most successful teams over in Washington. The guy is a genius on damn near everything. When it comes to lead conversion, when it comes to leadership, he is by far the most disciplined, consistent person I have ever met. Very few people can make me feel lazy. This guy is absolutely one of them. So I have Mike Novak with the Novak team. His better half is not on here with us, but Rachel Novak is also somebody who I admire very, very much because of who she is, who they are as a couple, the business that they have built together. And I'm just super grateful to have you on, brother.
Thanks for all the kind words, man. I friggin' love you. Love doing life with you, all the conversations we get to have, and the growth you've had over the last few years, too. I think we met 2 years ago or so, and it's been so much fun to just see you grow your business and your leadership skills over that time.
You know what's crazy is when I started this, you're actually the reason that you got stuck with me. I listened to you for the first time. I think it was through, I remember exactly. What's funny is I even remember exactly where I was. I was waiting for a client in the worst part of Orange County, in a really, really bad part of town. I had a client that canceled on me, so I was an hour early. And there was a Wailopo webinar that they did, and I had time to just click it on in my truck and listen to it. And what made me reach out to you was because I just listened to you, and I listened to the way you articulated things. You had already built something that I really, really wanted to build. And I just listened to how effectively you communicated, and I listened to your systems, and you speak my language. Like, it just made a ton of sense. You're far more educated on this stuff than I am. But the way that you just broke it down was really simple for me to understand. I reached out to you, I think, on a DM, slid into your DMs, asked you about starting coaching with our mutual coach, Eric Hatch. And I got into there, and he will be the one to tell you he ended up with the brother he never wanted. That's me.
The little brother I never wanted. Yes.
Yeah, he had to throw in the little part. He is also a guy every single morning at 3:30 in the morning. Our buddy, Mike Rowland, Mike Novak. We have a little group called Mike and the Meatheads. This is our leader. And we have a workout crew that wakes up together at 3:30 in the morning. We check in with each other. And if we don't, we end up just getting absolutely ridiculed. So we hold each other accountable. And it's just, like you said, it's been great doing
it. Full-on embarrassment.
Nonstop. I went on vacation to Mexico, and I haven't lived down the couple days that I didn't check in at 3:30.
Yeah, you didn't check in when you were in Cabo. I was disappointed.
Man, when you guys were waking up, I was just getting home. I want to go over a couple of things with you that I think people will get a ton of value from. One of which, we had a conversation privately, and we had discussed the importance and the value of top grading our pipelines. And we've talked about that in the last 3 to 6 months because inventory got so tight. Yeah. We had so many clients that we were dealing with. We had so many people ready to transact that we're like, we got to top grade our clients, focus on the ones who have the finances, focus on the ones who have enough down, focus on the ones who have the right expectations, focus on the ones who are ready to go. Now, we're starting to see a huge shift in the market. Interest rates today, I just had somebody quoted at almost 6%, 5.75. Now we're having to top grade for a completely different reason. And I'd love you to kind of jump into that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting, last 12 months when it comes to the top grading of the pipelines and just kind of requalifying people we're already working with. And it's been a total roller coaster for us and for the clients as well. If you kind of rewind back 12 months or so, the market took like a next level shift on its competitiveness. And all of a sudden you had these situations where if you couldn't waive appraisal, you couldn't waive finance, you couldn't waive inspection, you weren't a buyer in the market. And so we all kind of looked around.
Yeah.
We said, okay, well, if we have like a zero down buyer or a VA buyer that doesn't have cash, it could be really hard to get a deal done, you know? So we were really looking for people that had a lot of cash to actually put into the home. If they had 10 to 20% down, then that was someone we could probably still help. And also our prices had skyrocketed as well. That just like your market, Cole, you know, we went up 24% in the last year. And so these prices were just going super high and people's monthly payment were getting pretty high in relationship to how much money they were making. And so just making sure they could actually still buy at the current prices they were at. And then all of a sudden, you know, the interest rates start going up. And now we're having to requalify pipelines again because now people's payments are skyrocketing on what they thought they could afford before. And their purchase power is being taken away from what it was. So somebody that was maybe going to be able to spend $750 is now spending like $650, and they may or may not actually still want to buy a house that looks like $650.
And those people who were shopping at $650 to buy at $750 already hated the homes that they wanted. And now that the
They
homes
were
are
already having a hard time.
yeah, it wasn't getting any easier. And the hard part is, and this is where, and I had this conversation with my team. He and I have another mutual brotherhood that, again, I have through him. Robbie T, who is a very, very good friend of us. I think he is one of the most brilliant people in the world when it comes to lead conversion. I think the things that make him so extremely successful at it is, one, his ability to empathize, his ability to communicate, and his ability to dig deep and find out what's truly motivating somebody. And one of the conversations we had just very recently is so many people thought that the industry was hard for the last year and a half. And I've been telling my team, and I'm sure you've done the same with yours, this hard is not going to be considered hard when you finally experience hard. This hard,
Yeah.
your problem, this is some first world shit. Like, your problem right now is you have too many people who are ready to buy, who are qualified, that are throwing their cash at you, that are coming to you ready to write offers 8 to 12% over ask price. That's not hard. That's the hard was it, the market was competitive. And if you were really, really strategic, the market wasn't that competitive because you knew how to write offers in a way that would get them accepted. And every agent's going to say, I know how to get offers accepted. Well, yeah, why do you got to write 12 to get one accepted? Now,
Right.
the hard part is being able to articulate to somebody the current market, being able to have these conversations when all of a sudden everybody throws their hands up. They don't want to buy. And that's something that I think you are an absolute master at, is digging deeper to finding people's motivations. And one, like you said, too many agents are going to go focus too much and get so disappointed when somebody says, no, I'm priced out of the market, I can't do it. We know what agents are going to do. They're going to focus way too much on those people. When you and I both know when somebody's legitimately priced out, we got to move on. And we got to go find the people in our database who can. I'd like you to dig deep a little bit on that stuff and tell us how you're preparing your team and how you're doing it personally.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of go back on what you were saying, I can understand the perspective that agents have that the market has been really tough for the last 12 months, but there's also an overabundance of opportunities that have been out there as well. So it's nothing like it was in 2009 and 10 when there was 18 months of inventory and you couldn't get a listing sold to save your life. You know, so it's, if you look at it from that perspective, it's not nearly as bad as it could be. The conversations with clients, you know, it's really a cost of waiting articulation problem, in my opinion. Like, can I articulate to this person what the cost of waiting a year or 2 years or 3 years of making a move really is? And then a lot of that comes back to also unraveling what their motivation is. Like, what do they want to change and how badly do they want to change it? If I'm very clear on that and I understand that, then it just becomes a math problem, right? Like, if the rates went up 1%, what would that do to your purchase power? If the prices went up 10%, which they probably will again, then what would that do to your purchase power? Would you be priced out of the market? Would you be looking at a home that's $200,000 less than what you're looking at today? So that kind of articulation with real math, I think, is super important. I ask my agents, my ISAs, to actually like write down the math and make it easy for people so they can understand if rates go up 1% at our average price point, what will that do to your payment? And ask them if they can afford to wait. You know?
I mean, but Mike, so what about, like, do you think the values are about to drop?
No, there's no way. The reason why is just the inventory level. Like, there is such a backlog of inventory right now in our market, or not a backlog of inventory, a backlog of buyers in our market right now. We have about 0.3 months of inventory supply right now. most economists agree that a 5 to 6 month inventory supply of houses represents a neutral or a balanced market. So it could take
Yeah.
years to get back to a 4 or 5 month supply. We have so far to go to get there.
And what you just said, one, did anybody doubt for a second what you just said? No, because not only do you say it confidently, but you also have data to help support why. Like you go into specifics about the amount of inventory that we have, the ability to articulate the market and why values aren't going to drop is going to be what differentiates people like Mike, who are going to absolutely crush it in any market, regardless, good market, bad market. What I love about Mike and what I love about the group and the what you guys call the sandbox that we play in is anybody who's successful in this industry and anybody who's had success in this industry, they're not scared at all right now. They're excited because I look at this, we're here in California. You will never drive from Orange County to LA. If you guys look at a map from where you're at, Orange County to LA is, it's right down the street. It can take you 4 hours if you leave during rush hour. The way I looked at the market for the last 2 years is the market has been, people have been so in our way and there's been so much traffic with agents. Now that the market starts to shift, they're finally going to get off the freeway and we can really gain momentum and we can finally get to where we want to be. Like there was so much people just in the way. Everybody was in real estate. Literally, my accountant got his real estate license after COVID. Everybody, those people are going to be out. They're finally going to get out of our way and we can pick up that opportunity.
I view shifting markets as moments of opportunity. Like to me, like if we can figure out where we think the market is going and what we could do to put ourselves in a different position than everybody else and what the pain points are going to be of our buyers and sellers when the market goes that direction before it happens, then we're going to be successful. We're going to help our clients be successful as well. But we have to take a step back. We have to not be emotional about it and then start making smart decisions and kind of making a strategy behind it, you know?
I think a big piece of this is going to be, and Robbie and I are working on my team with it right now. And it's the type of conversations that we're going to have. Like inevitably, the objection, and we've already started to get it a ton. And I was actually a little bit surprised because you guys are generally, 2 to 3 months behind us?
If not even a little more, you know, like maybe as much as 6 months.
You guys are right there. Like you guys have shifted. Remember just 2 weeks ago, I was like, hey guys, we're starting to see a shift. And you're like, we haven't quite started to see it. And then yesterday, you're like, we're 100% starting to see a shift.
Yeah, it literally like went almost overnight. You know, Rachel, my wife, who runs our listing operations, she had a $1.7 million listing where she was getting ready to take it to the market. And there was no competition, like no other listings between 1.5 and $2 million within a 1 mile radius when they were getting ready to go on the market. 2 days after they went on the market, there was 13 other houses that were competition in that price bracket.
Wow.
Within 1 mile. Like it went that's a huge difference in how you're going to get offers in on a house, you know?
That's a big, so let's kind of take it back for anybody who's listening that is a newer agent or maybe just a less skilled agent, which number one, been there. I almost quit real estate. I can't tell you how many times. I actually tried to quit with my mentor and I was like, can I be our lender? And he was like, no, you can't. And thank God I listened to him. And thank God I finally got surrounded by people who have just taught me a ton. But like the ability to, now that we're trying to pass that knowledge to our agents, we need to have the ability to dig deeper. And one of the things that Robbie T always teaches us, and it's everybody is running towards pleasure and away from pain. And in all of the conversations that we have conversations and they go something very similar to this. Hey, Mike, I want to check back in with you. Did you end up finding the home that you were looking for? Whatever you say. And you're like, no, you know what? We're waiting for the market to crash. And a lot of agents are just now going to try to change his opinion with their opinion. And that's never going to work. If Mike sits here and tells me specifically, he's not moving, he's waiting for the market to crash, too many agents are like, oh, you know, the overwhelming amount of economists will say that the market's not going to crash and da-da-da-da-da. And now we're getting into an argument. Now I'm insulting him and saying he's wrong. And one of the things that we're really training the agents to do, what did he really do there? What's the emotion that's behind that objection? And the emotion that's behind that objection is fear. I'm scared that the market's going to crash. Well, what initially had you looking at real estate in the first place? And there's going to be a pivot right here that you're going to notice. And it's so incredibly valuable.
That's the most important question to ask when that comes up. Hey, the market's going to crash. Oh, okay, that could happen. Tell me more about what had you originally wanting to make a move. Like, were you wanting more space? Were you wanting to downsize? What was the reason you originally wanted to do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Let's pull that back a little bit too, because what he's about to do is take me away from my fear, and then he's going to run me towards what I was running from. He's going to start asking me, what initially did you look at? Well, I need a bigger backyard. Why is that important to you? And I'm going to start thinking about, oh shit, I've got these kids every single day yelling in my ear as I'm working from the kitchen island. I need a bigger office. I've got the dogs running into me. I've got the kids screaming. My wife's trying to cook for all the kids. It's just chaotic. And now he's going to get me to start focusing on one, why I started looking in the first place, and two, why this place that I'm currently in doesn't fit. And it's going to start running you back towards the reason that you started the home search in the first place and away from my fear of, well, the market's going to crash. Because logically, yes, all the facts are very relevant. Most economists overwhelmingly agree that the values are not about to tank. And overwhelmingly, the majority of people think values are going to continue to appreciate. But if the first thing he does, and this is something that we used to do too, and it's like, well, somebody says, well, the market's going to tank. One of the worst things you can say right here is, tell me more about that. And the reason that that's one of the worst things we can do right at that exact moment, because you're going to help me further self-justify in my head exactly why I have every reason to be scared.
You're basically feeding their fear at that point.
Yeah, 100%. So don't say it there. Get them on what initially had him, like I've learned this shit from him. So he's now going to take me to where we need to, why I was looking in the first place. And then he can start diving deep and asking detailed questions and saying, tell me a little bit more about that, but not on the negative of I'm scared that the values are going to drop. Anything else on that you think is going to be beneficial for agents in that conversation?
I think you nailed it. It's the pivot shift from disagreement to their original motivation. And if you can really unpack that with them and reconnect with them and then kind of rekindle that motivation they had, and then later on address the fear point, which I think you do have to address at some point.
100%.
You can't just ignore it, but there's a time and place to do it. And it's certainly not in the first couple of minutes of that phone call. It's when you're 10, 12, 14 minutes in the call, or when you meet the person face to face and you have that conversation. We really explain the market and why you don't think prices are going to tank.
Well, and what he just said too, because you do 100%, we're going to have to dive deep into it. We are going to have to dive into the fear, and we are going to have to start using facts, and we're going to have to start having a database consultation that is going to help educate the client to get them to where they want to be. But if the first thing Mike does is do it right then when I answer the phone, I'm already on the edge. Like, especially if I don't know Mike very well, if I haven't established this rapport with him, I don't know him. Him telling me that the market's not going to crash and that I'm wrong and that he's right isn't going to give him the opportunity to find out exactly what I'm looking for. So he's going to wait. He's going to ask me a bunch of questions. He's going to laugh with me, talk about the kids, talk about the dogs, talk about that yard, connect with me on how he's got the same thing at his, like, I know how Mike speaks. And then as I finally put my guard down and start communicating with him, he's going to finally start, because now I've established some trust. Now he's going to start going into the facts. And I just think too many agents are going to try to do it right out of the gate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I see that mistake made a lot. So I think it's a really good idea.
You've done, we could go on this forever. We had some technical issues before this. So in respect for his time, and I almost was positive it was me, but I want to make it clear here on record, it was his computer that was not working. It was not mine.
It was my Surface. I will go on the record saying it was my audio problems.
I would also like to clarify, he talked shit to me and said it was definitely me. It turned out that it was in fact him. One thing that I think you do, you do this better than anybody. Our real estate coach has me ask you questions about about the showing partner model. You are the one that got me to use it. Tell me a little bit about what a showing partner is and why, as an agent, I should even consider something like that.
Yeah, so a showing partner is kind of like a nurse to a doctor, and the doctor would be the agent, and the nurse is the showing partner. And so a partner brings massive amounts of leverage for the agent that they're assigned to. It's a model that I love, and it's really brought a lot of value to our team, not just to my own personal production, but to the other agents on our team that we've shared it with as well. So it basically allows us to bring into the team somebody that has zero real estate experience. They're going to get paid a salary, which helps kind of bridge that gap from some kind of 9 to 5 job into the real estate industry. That's a big pain point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then they get partnered up with an elite agent, that's doing a fair amount of production, and they get a mentorship type relationship with this agent on our team for 2 years before they can then qualify to graduate into being an agent themselves. During that period of time, they really get an advanced level of training and education because they're getting all this experience on the front lines of real estate. It's not just learning theories, it's actually out there experiencing it. It's showing houses, it's sitting inspections, it's going through ongoing training with your agent or with your team as well. So the big three things that a partner does in our world, and I think on yours as well, Colton, is they bring leverage for the agent. Like I said, that's going to be showings, it's going to be covering inspections. For me, it's key handoffs, all of those type of things. The other big thing is database management. So they will act as me in the CRM. They'll help me with speed to response for people. They will send push listings to my clients to make sure they're seeing the new listings as they come on the market. And then the third and final part and the big responsibility is to train. So they become kind of the bench for the next wave of agents on the team and kind of the new guard that backfills the agent roster you currently have. So this model solves a ton of problems in our industry. Our industry has a massive issue with fallout. About 87% of agents don't last 5 years. We've all heard that stat. And this really does bridge that gap. We had a partner graduate a few months ago, and she's already put almost $4 million in her contract in 2
Whoa.
months, just like right out of the gate.
In 2 months.
In 2 months, yeah.
So I want to go through everything, the limiting beliefs and thoughts that I had, because I said the same things to you. My clients, they're not going to want to deal with some showing partner. They want to deal with me.
You're an idiot. You're not that important.
I knew he was going to get that in there.
In my opinion, that's an ego problem. Like my partner can show a home just as good as I can, if not better, because they don't have 20 other things on their schedule that day. So they are going to bring patience to the table that I don't have to really give this person time in the showing, help them experience the house and things like that. So the person does not care who shows the home to them. It doesn't have to be you. I do think it needs to be a consistently the same person. Like I don't like the Redfin model where anybody could show up and show the house. I think that's really stupid. And this is a relationship business. So I think it really breaks that relationship part of it. And it becomes very transactional at that point. But if it's the same partner each time, or you as the agent, maybe for filling in, then there's really going to be a deep relationship built because it's just the consistent thing.
Now, but Mike, so I'm your showing partner. Am I ever introduced as a subordinate? Am I ever introduced as an inferior person? Am I ever introduced as anything other than an equal?
You're just my partner. Like I'm never going to call you my assistant. I'm never going to call you my employee. You're my partner.
Yeah, it is. And again, as soon as I started talking with Mike about this, and I want to connect you with why I really wish more people would start adopting this model, because we have no idea how broken the industry is until we are shown how broken the industry is. Like, dude, every single day, I'd wake up, I'd work ridiculous hours. I would do ridiculous things. I started hating real estate. I despised real estate. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel fulfilled. I was getting to a point where I worked so ridiculously much that I started breaking down over, am I being there for my daughter? Am I here? There was one point after I implemented this model, the first weekend that I did this model, and you and Eric and Robbie, you guys are the reason that I started doing it. And my daughter, we were in town. We wanted to go to the beach. So Tessa said, hey, can we go to the beach tomorrow? I said, yeah, we're going to go. So what time do you want to go? She's like, well, let's go early. Like, okay, cool. We'll go early. So we go early. We're hanging out by the beach and we're having fun. And we go for a little hike up Malibu. And I can tear up when I talk about this, but she ends up, she's like, okay, well, what are we going to do tonight? And I knew immediately what she was doing. She has been so trained to know that dad's got to work during the day. Like even on a weekend, dad's going to have to go to work. Dad's got to go meet with clients. Dad's going to have stuff to do. So she was immediately trying to schedule my day in the morning because she knew that's when I was free. And then trying to put stuff at the night when she knew I freed back up. And I was like, well, do you want to go to the pool or something? And she's like, yeah, that'd be fun. We go to the pool, we're hanging out. And my daughter, when we were sitting in the pool on the lounge chairs, reaches over, grabs my hand, and she's like, Dad, this is really cool. Like, thank you so much. And I looked over at her, and she's talking about just spending time with me, like uninterrupted quality time with her fucking dad, which, mind you, like the amount of mistakes that I made for the amount of years that I made them, like how dare I ever make my daughter think for a second that she wasn't going to take absolute priority that entire day. This model allowed my clients to be properly serviced. It allowed me to be present with my daughter for the first time in 12 years to where it was uninterrupted. And now nothing gets in my time. Like I screwed this up for so many years. Nothing gets in my way. Clients are serviced. Nobody's upset. I get a balance back to my life that makes me a more present father and a better leader in my business. And if it wasn't for following the model that he's explaining right now, I'd still be doing this shit to my daughter, and it's not fair to her that I was doing it.
Yeah. That's a powerful story. And I mean, I have one very similar to that, but kind of on like a wake up call perspective angle to it. I was at a client event about 3 years ago. Somebody asked me where my kids go to school. I didn't know the answer to that question.
Wow.
That I was working 100 hours a week. I had no, like, I'm not a big fan of balance anyways, but I was completely out of balance where I was just, completely consumed with work to the point where it was unhealthy, And for me, that was the wake up call. I was like, oh shit, I got to change something.
Yeah.
And that's when Eric and I started working together. And he was like, we need to get you implementing the showing partner model. And just think about all of the problems that this model solves for the industry and for your team. It solves the on ramp problem. We give people a way to get into the industry. We bridge that gap from having a stable paycheck to being commission only. That's super important. It also addresses the second way addresses the training. People actually have consistent training for a couple of years before they're going to go make a lot of money. In real estate, you can make doctor level money, if not more.
Yeah.
You need to be committed to developing the skill set to provide that level of value to people, right?
Yeah.
It's huge. Then it backfills your agents, and it allows the agents to no longer have to choose between time and money. You can have both.
There's this bullshit right now where it happens always in the industry, whatever's trendy, whatever's a hot topic, everybody wants to gravitate towards, and I get it. And now, because of a lot of new models that have come out, now everybody's trying to start a team. And there's so many people who just flat out shouldn't start a team. And it's not because they're bad agents. It's not because they don't deserve a team or they haven't earned it. It's none of that. It's most people start a team to then service them. And you're not giving somebody one, like Mike just said, the on-ramp that's going to give them the ability to be successful in this industry. There are so many people that I talk to like, oh, I'm going to start a team, I'm going to hire. And I'm like, you asshole. You're going to bring somebody on who just got licensed, who this exact moment for this next 6 months is going to be what makes or breaks their career. Do you have lead opportunities for them? No. Are you going to be paying them anything? No. So what are you going to do to get them into business? Oh, I'm going to just teach them. And they have no training. They have no system. They have no anything to make anybody successful. And these poor people who join these people's teams are going to fail because they joined the wrong team. And a lot of people want to do it because they're wanting to build a business off of the backs of their agents. What he's talking about right now, I think, is a model that everybody, the vast majority of people who are starting teams shouldn't start a team. They should leverage themselves with exactly the showing partner model because, one, it's more profitable for you as a team lead, and two, it's a more sustainable and predictable model for an agent to choose and be hired under. Like, dude, if you gave me the opportunity when I started real estate to join under you, sign me up. Do you know how much you're going to learn in that 1 year? I'll learn in 1 year more than I'm going to learn in a decade by myself because it's repetition of the business and the volume that you do. Is that a fair statement?
I think it absolutely is. I love the model. Like, to me, that's the ultimate way to bring agents into your team. You know what I mean? It's the slow way to build a team, but it is really the strongest way to do it, in my opinion, because people are then now part of your culture. They understand your systems, they understand your operations. And when they actually graduate into an agent, they're a really good fit, and they kind of have a launching pad to success that an agent just joining your team wouldn't have. So I'm a huge fan of it.
Can we talk a little bit about pay structure for anybody who's thinking about it? How does the pay structure work?
Yeah, so I mean, this is very market dependent.
Yeah.
I can share with you what we do, and I can share with you what Eric does. Eric's out of Fargo, North Dakota, which has an average price point of about $250,000. We're, again, just north of Seattle, so our average price point is about $750,000. Those are two very different economic structures that you have to run. So on Eric's team, he pays a $30,000 base salary, and then he does not pay commissions on the sales that they touch, unless it's a sphere, like say that partner brings a buyer to the team, they're then going to get, I think it's 15 or 25% of that transaction at that point. On our team, just because of the market we're in, we pay a $40,000 base, so 10,000 higher, and then we also give 5% on the transactions that they showed the home on that led to the sale. So if they didn't show the home, they're not going to get paid anything. But if they showed the house that the person buys, now they're getting 5% off the agent side, not off the team side, but off the agent side.
Got it.
So what that does is it provides a massive level of motivation to the partner to be the one that shows the house. Like, we want to incentivize them to work just as hard as the agent that they're working for as well.
I wish we had more time to dive into that, and we'll do it on another day. It's like what you just said about taking it from the team side and not the agent side. That's such a level of knowledge people need to learn. Sticking on this part, though, where you now this agent, so you're feeding them the business. Now, are they also able to go do open houses? Are they also able to go do their sphere? And is the pay structure going to be any different for an agent utilizing that model?
So for the partner or for the agent?
For the partner. So for the partner,
Okay.
Can they go hold open houses? Is the pay different? How does that work?
They can if they have time. Like, our partners don't usually have time. Like, if you've got 15 or 20 A clients you're working with, you can't be idle for 2 or 3 hours at an open house.
No.
But they have the option to, and if they do it, then they're basically creating a lead opportunity for the team. So then they get paid 25% on that on our team. Same with their sphere as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other details on that I'm missing that you think people need to know?
I mean, there's a lot to it, to be honest with you. Like, I've seen some people struggle implementing the model. And oftentimes when they struggle to implement, there's details that they're missing with it, or they're hiring the wrong person. Hiring the wrong person is more often than not going to be the issue. But it's an awesome model. I think it's the best way to grow a team. Like you said, Colton, growing a team is not for everybody.
Did I lose you?
I think it's for a very small group of people. There's this kind of illusion in our industry that we should all want to be out of production and be sitting on a beach sipping pina coladas, making money off the backs of agents.
That's not what you
That's a really messed up business model. I mean, you were just on Cabo, but I was just going to say, in my opinion, that is not a way to build a team from an integrity position. Like that is not a good. That's not a good approach to things. I think a better approach to things is to stay in production as long as possible, because your production is going to be the most profitable place for you to be. And if you get to a point where you want to grow a mega team and you're going to do 400 plus transactions or 150 million plus in volume, then at that point, I think it does make sense for you to slowly step out of production. But even at that point, I would still want to have a showing partner because I want them to handle my past clients, my sphere of influence.
I think something that you just said, too many people, I was one of them, will get out of production not having a clue what that means to your income. And the reason is most people run their P&Ls the completely wrong way. Most people keep their production in their P&L, which is why I always tell everybody, stop asking about people's P&Ls, because it's apples to oranges and apples to bananas on everything.
Yeah, you get somebody that tells you they have a 45% profit margin. And like, okay, well, how do you pay your own commissions? Well, I don't. Okay, well, you don't have a 45% profit margin.
Yeah, you don't pay yourself a commission. You don't pay yourself a salary. And it's like, look, if you're going to do it, and if you really want to know, can you afford to maintain, one, can you maintain the profit margin of the business? Two, can you afford your lifestyle by removing yourself from production? And in order to do that, you got to really go run your P&L and pay yourself on the P&L the exact same way that you would an agent. So if you're on an agent on my team and it's a lead that I gave you, it's split 50-50. Now, if you are doing your production and your split's going to be 50-50, go remove 50% of that money, get it off the P&L. That's what's going to be left. And most people have absolutely no ability to maintain their existing lifestyle with their current leads and their current business and their current production when they really start treating their business and their P&L like an actual business.
And the other thing a lot of people don't think about is often the Rainmaker is by far the top producer and best converter. So if your Rainmaker is doing like 60 to 80 deals a year, you may need to hire 3 agents to replace that volume. Plus, you're only going to get half of it,
And let's go. So, and again, the reason being, I can give Mike 100 leads from a really great source, and I guarantee you, Mike's going to convert. Every market's different, but I'll bet you anything he's going to convert at least, of the best sources, I'd say 15 to 20 out of every 100. Maybe even 10. Some of the best only do 10.
You're quite flattering. I was going to go with 8%.
All right, so even some are only 10. Now you're going to give those same 100 leads to a person that you just hired, and most teams aren't training right. They're not setting right expectations, and they're not hiring right. They're not training right. They're not holding people accountable. So if you give those same 100 leads to the inevitable things that you're going to screw up. I screwed them up. Mike, I know you screwed them up. When we first start a team, we do everything wrong. Those same 100
Yep.
leads that he's
No,
going to
definitely.
convert 8 of them, that other agent that you just hired that you didn't train appropriately, you didn't set expectations, you didn't hire right, and you didn't hold accountable, they're going to close 1, 2. Like there's going to be a total
Yep.
drop in income just because of that production issue he just brought up.
Yeah, and the time it takes a new, not just a new agent, but even an experienced agent to build a pipeline.
Yeah.
it can take 6 months for agents to start closing deals when they join you.
Your brand, I'm just trying to be respectful of your time here. I'm absolutely going to rope you into another one of these, so sorry in advance. Um,
It's all
I feel
good, my
more
man.
bad about it if it wasn't you who screwed up our time here.
It
Uh,
was on my shoulders.
I was promised an hour. I'm getting an hour. Um, you're a you're a brand new agent. You're just getting started. I want to be just like Mike Novak. Where do I start? What do most agents want to focus on, and what should they focus on?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think a lot of agents need to ask themselves if they want to be a business owner and an agent, or if they just want to be an agent.
Yeah,
Because I think 9 out of 10 at least really just want to be an agent or have the skill set to be an agent. And if you want to be a Colton or like what we do, like you need to be primarily a savage business owner, and then second to that, a good agent. And when I say savage business owner, that includes being a really strong leader as well.
yeah,
And that takes a long time to develop. So that would be the first thing. Because if you just want to be an agent, that's great. But at that point, I think you have to plug into a team. Like you absolutely do. You're going to spend 50-60% of your income on leads, on transaction coordination, on different admin costs and overheads. You might as well just plug into a team that's got all their systems and processes dialed in, that you can just get some of that efficiency and plug into it. So I would always go for a team if I wasn't somebody that really wanted to be a business owner. I didn't have business ownership
yeah.
experience. I didn't want to be a leader.
And if you're an agent, and it's one of the biggest things that you don't want to do, and I'm thankful to have had mentors that told me what an idiot I was if I didn't do this. It's like, look, you're going to get into this. This is not selling Sunset. This is not what you watch on TV. This is 100% 10 times more difficult than whatever you've imagined this to be. The amount of money you thought you're going to be making in a year, cut it by at least 10 times, because it is going to be a difficult run in your first year. And I was fortunate enough, I did start a team. It's like, look, go learn everything you can learn from somebody like Mike. Go find somebody in your market who's going to be able to show you the systems. But first, be selective. Like, if you're going to go join a team, and if you're only going to be a team agent, I think one of the best questions you can ask is, hey, dude, how much of the production of this production in this team, if I'm going to be a team agent, how much of this production is being done by you, and how much is being done by these 14 people you've got? And if you look at the
Yeah, that's
numbers,
a good
and I would make them show me, like open up the reporting, because one, if they won't show you, it's because they're lying, or two, if they're not tracking this shit, don't join that team.
run. Yeah.
Get out of there.
Yeah. The other one, I see agents, especially new agents, get really caught up on splits.
Yeah,
And I think it's a really big mistake. It's kind of the same mistake that sellers make when they just want to pay the cheapest commission. Like, do you care how much I'm going to pay Colton to list my house?
yeah. Anytime you guys have the opportunity, Mike Novak is a unbelievably recognizable name in the industry. If this is the first time that you have been made aware of him, you are very lucky. I was extremely fortunate to, one, have the ability to listen to him. He is an intimidating man. When you first, when you first start talking to him, I swear the first Marco Polo I ever did with you, I was like shaking. He is as you get to know him, the biggest, nicest teddy bear in the freaking world, who will give you the shirt off of his back and it will be a tent on most. But the guy cares. He provides so much value back into this industry. And if you just implement what he teaches, and if you implement what others like him teach, that's the biggest issue. Is everybody sits here like this, and I watch people all the time when you talk, taking notes, and I get there and I just kind of shake my head because I know it's inevitably going to happen. They're going to sit there and they're going to shake their head and they're going to take notes. And then it's just going to sit in a notepad. You have to take something that he said today. You have to pick one thing, pick one, implement it, figure out how you're going to implement it, and execute relentlessly. And then go watch the next one that he does and implement a couple more things. Like, you have to implement and learn from people like this. So if you ever see anything else that he does, he's constantly doing webinars. He's constantly providing value. follow this man on Instagram or Facebook, follow what he does. You can learn so much from him. I know I have it, and I am so extremely grateful to have you as a friend. And thank you for letting me blow you up constantly with questions on things that I can do to help my business. It's been such a big piece to our growth. And all the time, I constantly am just thinking, one, what would Mike do? If I ever feel lazy, if I ever feel like I'm not going to get out of bed, I swear to you, I'm like, fuck, I know Mike's getting up, so I get up. It's like just just the ability. This guy would go to Cabo, we go to Mexico together, and this he wants to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and still do our routine. And I'm like, no, I just but the guy just when you surround yourself with people like that, and when you surround yourself with people who are just better than you, and people who are more disciplined and have the characteristics that you want, and have the moral compass and the values and everything that I wanted to be, I made sure that I surrounded myself with somebody like that. And Mike was one of them. And you've made me better because of it. And I'm so insanely grateful for you. So thank you for everything. As soon as we're, thank you. And I appreciate that. But I'm going to go back to talking shit to you in private. So I love you, brother. Please give my love to Rachel. And thank you so much for doing this.